If you want a capable, fun, off-road ready vehicle, might I suggest the all-new Ford Bronco. And if you want something that's one step above in terms of tires, suspension, and off-road performance, you might want to get your hands on a Bronco Raptor like I did. But if you must make it over that one obstacle on that one trail that you've always wanted to do, or drive over the desert at scary fast speeds, then you need the all-new Bronco ProRunner by APG. What is up, you guys? Matt McAdam here, aka Desert Chief, only on Driving Lines Chasing Dust, and I'm coming at you once again from APG's headquarters here in Garden Grove, California, where I'm taking a first look for the first time at the all-new Bronco ProRunner edition. I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes this vehicle so special and how it actually compares to Ford's top-of-the-line model, which is the Raptor that I drive every day. In case you're not familiar with APG, basically they are a vehicle upfitter that takes a factory vehicle like the Ford Bronco and basically changes everything on it to give it more off-road performance. Starting out first with the Ford Ranger back in 2019, APG was doing the ProRunner Rangers, which gave it a wide body system, long travel suspension, and a host of other goodies to really up the performance level of the Ford Ranger. They're doing it with the Ford Bronco now, but this is on a whole different scale, on a whole different level for a different kind of enthusiast. So in this breakdown, I'm gonna go over 5 things. We're gonna go over tires, suspension, body panels, axles, and steering. Those are the heavy hitter items. This Bronco ProRunner is riding on 40-inch Nitto trail grapplers. That's right, folks, 40s on an IFS Bronco. Now, if you buy a Raptor from Ford, it's gonna come with 37-inch tires, which is what I have on there right now, and it cycles beautifully on 37s with the suspension on there. But this thing can cycle a 40 no problem, and that's gonna be a lot better for those guys who wanna do those rock trails that need that extra height out of their tires. And don't get me wrong, the Raptor looks really good on 37s compared to a regular Bronco, but when you put it next to this thing, it looks tiny. The 40s are just massive tires. Now, APG trusts Nitto trail grapplers for their build because they know it's the ultimate tire for both desert and rocks, and they come standard on 37-inch trail grapplers. However, they have the option to run a 40-inch. Now, next up, we're gonna talk about the suspension on the Bronco ProRunner. Starting out with the front, of course, it is a long travel suspension, IFS, and what it consists of is actually a steel box design lower control arm, a billet upper control arm. The kit comes standard with a King 3.0 Race Series IBP coilover with an optional 2.5 King Race Series bypass shock. And folks, these aren't just factory replacement parts. These are actually proprietary made King coilovers and bypasses for this vehicle specifically. And how they did that, APG actually designed their own upper shock mounts so that you can get more up travel and run a bigger shock and get as much travel as you can. And to give you an idea of exactly how much travel that is, the Bronco Raptor back there that I've got comes stock with 13 inches of travel with those Fox Live valve shocks. Now this cycles a 40-inch tire to 14.5 inches of travel up front. On a 37, which is what comes standard on this ProRunner, it'll cycle 16.5 inches of travel. That's way more than the Raptor. But just in case that's not enough shock and bypass for you, if you hit something super, super hard, the kit does come standard with a set of 2.0 King adjustable hydraulic bump stops as well. And now the rear suspension of the Bronco ProRunner boasts the exact same numbers. If you're running a 37-inch tire, you can cycle up to 16.5 inches of travel. And if you're running a 40, you can cycle up to 14.5 inches of travel. And that's pretty impressive for the back of this, considering the Raptor only cycles 14 inches total in the back. The shock package back here, again, consists of a 3.0 coilover from King. It's a Race Series IBP shock with a finned reservoir, and you can get an optional 2.5 Race Series bypass, and those are actually mounted to the axle. APG then took it a step further for this Bronco ProRunner and added a full adjustable 4-link long arm system that comes complete with Johnny joints on all the links, making it completely adjustable, as well as the rear track bar as well. Now, arguably the most hated thing about the Bronco Raptor are the fenders. Everyone hates these things, including me. They're just kind of look like an afterthought with these plastic fenders right here. So APG didn't want to run into the same problem. They wanted to run a fender on this vehicle that was both functional as well as stronger than factory. So what they opted for was their signature carbon fiber, full carbon fiber fender package. These are 5 inches wider on each side, front and rear, and the entire fender here is made from carbon fiber, including this outer lip right here, which they have 3 different options for. This is their narrow fender flare. They also have a mid-width fender flare as well as a full-width fender flare for those who need all the coverage for their tires, depending on what state they live in. If they need to have that coverage, they can get it. But out here in California, we like to run a really wide tire and a little bit of a narrower body system. So this looks really, really good, and by far much better looking than the Bronco Raptor fenders. They're just beautiful on this car, and knowing that they're made out of carbon fiber and not fiberglass just really, really ups the ante when it comes to the body system on this. And they're not just for looks, they're completely functional fenders. This 40-inch tire can cycle all the way up into there with the amount of travel that it's got, 14.5 inches, and then you can actually turn the tire left and right to full lock. I mean, that is a really functional fender for the front and rear of this Bronco. You can see the rear fender here also made out of carbon fiber, and they added this right here, this strip to the door, just blends really seamlessly, and you have a factory operational fuel door as well, making it very easy to use when you're gassing up. I mean, they just put all this time and thought and effort into these fenders. I really, really love the way they did the body on this. Now, being able to turn a 40-inch tire and having all of this suspension travel does you nothing if you don't upgrade your drivetrain, because the factory drivetrain components on the Bronco are good for the factory tire size, but definitely not gonna hold up to a 40 with much abuse. So what APG did with the drivetrain is they actually put an Advantech 44 front axle drive unit from Dana in the front of this, making it much stronger than the one that came in the Bronco originally. That's the same exact front differential that comes in the Raptor, but in the rear, instead of going with a Dana 50 like they do in the Raptor, APG put a Dana 60 rear end that's wider than stock to fit the body panels they have, as well as being much, much stronger than the Dana 44 that comes in the stock Bronco. That axle comes completely built for APG with all their bracketry on there, and both axles, front and rear, come with electronic locking differentials, which means you rock crawler guys are definitely gonna love driving this ProRunner on any of your favorite rock trails. Now, the last thing we're gonna talk about today is steering, which has been somewhat of an Achilles heel for Ford. Of course, their Sasquatch series comes with a 35-inch tire, but those who upgrade to a bigger size, a 37-inch tire or bigger, are having a lot of problems with their tie rods and their steering rack. And so APG recognized that some of their customers are gonna be really using the ProRunner for a lot of heavy off-road use. So they went ahead and included standard a billet tie rod end that's actually got a uniball on the end of it, so it's much stronger than the factory tie rods, and it pairs very well with this long travel kit. But taking it one step further, if you're really worried about your steering rack on this ProRunner, APG does also offer a very cool upgraded 74 weld billet aluminum steering rack, which is by far the beefiest steering rack you can get for the Bronco. And now they're putting them in these ProRunners, making your steering virtually indestructible when it comes to running a bigger tire like a 37 or a 40. Now, I know what all you guys are gonna ask me next is, how much does it cost? Well, I can tell you this, it's definitely more expensive than the Bronco Raptor at MSRP value. The base ProRunner conversion that only comes with the standard options that I went over in this video starts out at just over $100,000. Now that includes parts and labor and building the entire vehicle. None of the options that I mentioned earlier are included, so if you want to add those options, which there are a ton of options you can add, that just goes up from there. But with that said, if you are really serious about off-roading your Bronco and you want to run a 40-inch tire with long travel and wide body, there is no better production option out there than the ProRunner from APG. But overall, you guys, this thing is just a monster of a Bronco build. I mean, it just towers over my Raptor. It's very impressive. It looks beautiful, and it performs very, very well compared to anything else that's available. So I'm really, really impressed by what APG is putting out here, starting out with their Ranger a couple years ago, and now really, really just upping the ante with this Bronco. But that is gonna do it for us today, you guys. This has been your host, Matt McAdam, only on Driving Lines Chasing Dust, coming live here from Garden Grove, California at APG's headquarters. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.